Okay, you can begin.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Today, Adisa and I will be presenting on chapter 15, which is leading change. So, before we get into it, let's first talk about what change is. Change is defined as something being altered or modified to be different than how it was before. Now, who here actually likes change? You can raise your hand or do a reaction if you actually like when change happens to you. Okay. See, okay, that's a lot more than I thought. All right. So while sometimes we don't want things to change, it is a necessary factor in our lives and something that helps us to grow and evolve. If we fail to adapt to changes happening around us, that can cause problems in our lives. The same can be said for changes in organizations. Jack Welch, the former CEO of General Electric, once said, "When the rate of change outside exceeds the rate of change inside, the end is in sight." Essentially, what he meant was if people aren't able to keep up with the current changes happening in the world around them, then they are doomed or set up for failure. Leaders are seen as the embodiment of change and give others the focus and incentive to keep pushing forward with change. For change to be successful, a leader must show strength, courage, and commitment. A need for innovation. In response to a question, what must one do to survive in the 21st century? A survey by the American Management Association found that the top response among 500 CEOs was to practice creativity and innovation. However, only 6% of respondents felt their companies were successfully implementing innovation. A separate survey by Business Week and the Boston Consulting Group found that 72% of executives saw innovation as a top priority, but nearly half were dissatisfied with their innovation results. This shows that there is a shift from a knowledge economy to a more creative one. Which brings us to our next point. Many leaders in the United States, Europe, and even Japan recognize that innovation is essential to keep pace with technological and societal advancements. In the past, organizations focused on efficiency and cost cutting, but today's businesses must prioritize creativity to remain competitive. The knowledge economy, based on intellectual capital, is evolving into a creativity economy where companies generate value through imagination, innovation, and design. As high level knowledge work is outsourced to countries like China and India, businesses in developed nations must move to the next level, creating unique, innovative solutions rather than just improving efficiency. Leaders must create an organizational culture that encourages creativity rather than suppressing it. Successful leaders find ways to stimulate creativity in different areas. In organizations like, let's say, hospitals and government agencies, creative policy changes can enhance effectiveness. And in product-driven companies like cross-department collaborations is essential to generate and implement ideas. Creativity is a process, not just an outcome, and it requires continuous effort and support from leadership. So, right. So characteristics of a good leader. So to successfully change, there are seven characteristics that have been identified within leaders. These characteristics would be that they define themselves as people of change. So instead of, let's say, just sticking to what the norm is and what everybody's doing, they portray themselves as people who lead and push for a better change and push to do something different. They also tend to show courage and they trust their employees' abilities to take on larger roles. And they embrace and convey values that encourage being adaptable. They can admit and learn from their mistakes as well as handle unpredictable and complex circumstances. They have a clear vision for the future that they want and communicate the vision to motivate others to align with it. A good example of this would be Barbara Wow, who worked at HP, the company. So she had a clear vision for the company, and by being courageous, she ended up leading a group of people to follow her ideas and implement it into the company. Next point is stages for leading change. When it comes to leading a change, it is imperative that leaders recognize and understand the time and process needed to achieve their goals. Alan Vass presents an eight-stage model in Journal of General Management to successfully implement these changes. The slightest mistake or ignoring of a stage can cause the entire process to end in failure. To implement major organizational changes effectively, leaders can follow NOTA's 8-stage model. So, the first point is to establish a sense of urgency. This shows employees why change is necessary and creates a compelling reason to take the action. The second stage is to create a powerful coalition. Gather influential leaders and employees who support the change, and a strong team helps overcome resistance. The third one is to develop a compelling vision and strategy. Clearly define what success looks like, show how the change aligns with the company goals. The fourth one is to communicate the vision, reinforce the change through constant messaging, and keep the vision visible and engaging. The fifth stage is to empower employees to act, remove obstacles that prevent employees from embracing the change, provide tools, training, and authority to drive progress. The sixth stage is to generate short-term wins. Celebrate early, celebrate early successes to build confidence. Short-term achievements create momentum for bigger changes. The seventh stage is to keep the energy and commitment, sustain focus and avoid complacency. Encourage continuous improvements. The final stage is to institutionalize the change in company culture. So make the change a permanent part of how the company operates, align hiring, training, and rewards with the new direction. By following this process, leaders increase the chances of long-term success in organizational transformation. The next point is leading change every day, which is Aditya.
Good afternoon, everyone. When it comes to leading change every day, it is imperative that leaders recognize and understand the time process needed to achieve their goals. Alan Vass presents the 8-stage model in Journal of General Management to successfully implement change. The slightest mistake or ignoring of a stage can cause the entire process to end in failure. To implement major organizational changes effectively, leaders can follow Kotter's 8-stage model. 1. Establish a sense of urgency. This shows employees why change is necessary. 2. Create powerful coalition. Gather influential leaders and employees to support the change. Strong team helps overcome resistance. 3. A compelling vision and strategy. Clearly defined what success looks like. Also show how change aligns with the company goals. Fourth, com- communicating the vision. Reinforcing the change through consistent messaging and also keeping the vision visible and engaging. 5. Empowering employees to act. Remove obstacles that prevent employees from embracing the change. Provide tools, training, and authority to drive the process. 6. Generate short term wins. Celebrate early success to build confidence, short term achievements to create monuments for bigger changes. 7th, keep up the energy and commitment. Sustain focus, avoid complacency, encourage continuous improvement. And lastly, institutionalize the change in the company culture, making the change a permanent part of how the company operates, align hiring, training, and reward with the new direction. Following this process, leaders can increase chances of long-term success in the organizational transformation. Leading change every day. When it comes to leading change every day, being fast and aggressive isn't always the best idea. A good leader would slowly and steadily work towards their goal, with fulfilling commitments There are even strategies that a leader can follow to enhance and impact their goal. These strategies are creative self expression. An easy and discreet way to promote change is that change can be reflected on the values the leader has, whether it be changing how you dress for work and creating a better work-life balance. Self-expression can aid in the leading changes in everyday life. Right words by using words indirectly, calling out issues instead of being accusatory or rude, a person can easily change from someone's negative attitude into a path of change that will be noticed. Next, right opportunities. By taking a public approach and capitalizing on opportunities for change, a leader can guide and help people move forward towards better change in their everyday life. An example of this would be share as much power and authorities as possible in work to someone who is much more skilled in a certain field than you are. Lastly, alliance building. By establishing connections and forming alliances, a leader can work closely with others to handle change more effectively, efficiently than it would be done alone. Next, we move on to encouraging innovation. Innovation strives in environments where creativity and curiosity are supported. Leaders play a key role in shaping these environments throughout daily actions and mindsets. Innovation doesn't happen in isolation. It is a product of culture leaders create. There are five key ways a leader can actively encourage innovation. First is alignment, ensuring creativity ties back to the company goals and ideas are both exciting and useful. Are both executed and useful. Second, creative values. By prompting risk taking and learning from failures, leaders empower team to push boundaries. Thirdly, unofficial activity. Google's 20% time is a great example where employees can pursue passion projects that often leads to major breakthroughs. Fourth, diverse stimuli. Exposing the team to new ideas from different industries and cultures can be a game changer. And finally, internal communication, where department works together for fresh ideas emerge through unexpected collaborations. Now we move on to a Samsung case study. Let's take a closer look at Samsung Electronics, a company that made remarkable transformation in the 1990s. Back then, Samsung was known for producing low-cost, low-quality electronics, which was quite a far cry from its current status as a global leader in today's tech industry. The turning point came when Chairman Lee Kenny declared, "We must change no matter what." This statement sparked a series of bold initiatives that encouraged creativity and collaboration throughout the company. One of the first major initiatives was Innovative Design Lab, IDS. This was a year-long program that brought designers, engineers, and marketers together to learn creative problem solving. It wasn't just about making things look good, it was about creating products that would stand out for their innovation. Another key initiative was Global Design Workshop. Samsung sent employees to some of the top world design hubs, giving them the opportunity to gather inspiration from the cutting edge design. Wednesday Creative Afternoon was another unique feature of Samsung's approach. This initiative creates this initiative gives designers time off from their regular duties to explore new ideas, allowing for the creativity to flourish without constraints of day-to-day work pressures. And finally, the Value Innovation Program, VIP. Centered created a space where employees could work distraction free environments dedicated solely to developing breakthrough ideas. This strategy paid off in a big way. By the mid 2000s. Samsung had transformed itself from a low quality brand to a global leader in innovations. In fact, it became the world's most valuable electronic brand between 2000 and 2005. It won more industrial design awards than most of its competitors. In conclusion, Samsung journey shows how bold leadership and commitment to creativity and collaboration can turn a company around, position it as a dominant force in the industry. Leading creativity. To strive in the 21st century, organizations must prioritize creativity and innovation. And effective leadership plays a key role in fostering that. Leaders need to create an environment where creativity can flourish, align creativity efforts with the organization's vision, clarifying goals and promoting a culture that encourages experimentation and risk taking. For example, companies like Google encourage creativity by freedom by giving employees 20% of their time to explore their own projects, leading to innovations like Gmail and Google Maps. This has demonstrated how organizations can benefit when creativity is empowered. Now let's take a look at techniques for encouraging creativity. Brainstorming is essential to encourage wild ideas, build on other concepts, and avoid criticism during the process. This opens a new possibility to drive innovation. Lateral thinking. Shifting perspectives and thinking outside of the box to problem solve can lead to creative breakthrough. For NASA, for example, NASA solved the Hubble telescope lens problem by drawing inspiration from the adjustable showerhead. Creative intuition, sorry. Creativity often strikes when least expected. By allowing time for reflection and relaxation, leaders can tap into subconscious insights. A great example is how Stephen King runs daily to stimulate his creativity, or how some people come up with brilliant ideas while in the shower. In summary, successful leaders integrate these strategies to foster creativity, encourage innovation, and drive breakthrough, while employees feel empowered to think creatively. It can lead an organizational success and growth. Implementing changes. Implementing changes can be challenging, especially in today's fast paced environment. Leaders must approach change strategically to ensure it's accepted and effectively executed. Communication and training. Communication, open communication is crucial to reduce uncertainty. Leaders should share the reasons behind change to provide continuous updates. Transparent communication helps employees understand the necessity of change, easing any anxiety that they may feel. Training program also ensures that employees are well prepared for new processes and systems. Participation and involvement. Engaging employees in the changing process is essential for building support. When employees feel involved in shaping change, they are more likely to buy into it. This can be done through surveys, feedback loops, or even collaborative workshops. This allows employees to voice concerns and contribute ideas, which can improve the change process. Coercion. As a last resort, coercion may be necessary when compliance is critical for success. When compliance is crucial for success of change. While it's not preferred methods, in some cases, forceful action may be required to ensure that change is implemented. However, this approach should be cautiously, as excessive coercion can harm moral and trust. By fostering clear communication, employees involvement, and using coercion only when absolutely necessary, leaders can successfully manage change to minimize resistance. Resistance to change. Resistance to change is not a natural reaction within the organization, especially when employees feel their job security or established benefits are threatened. This resistance can stem from a fear of the unknown or concerns about losing current privilege or roles. However, effective leaders can address this resistance by focusing on two key strategies. Communication. Open and honest communication is essential. Leaders must clearly explain why change is happening, its benefits, how it aligns with organizational goal. Transparency reduces uncertainty by helping employees understand the necessity of change. Employees involvement. Involving employees in the change process foster a sense of ownership and can reduce resistance while employees feel included and have active role in shaping change. They are more likely to embrace it. This can be done through feedback sessions, collaborative decision making, or involving them in the planning stages. By addressing resistance, communication, and employee involvement, leaders can facilitate the smoother transition, ensuring that change is not only accepted but also embraced by the team. Overcoming change. Change can be difficult for any organization, especially when employees are uncertain about how it will affect them personally and professionally. As leaders, our role is to help guide our team through these challenges by addressing their concerns and making the transition as smooth as possible. Communication and transparency is key. Leaders must be open and honest about changes when happening, why it is necessary, and what's the end goal. Next, involving employees in the change process is crucial, as stated before. Coercion as the last step. And finally, it's important for leaders to acknowledge the emotional impact of change on employees. Change can be stressful, and it's natural for people to feel anxious or overwhelmed. Leaders show empathy and offer support to employees to cope with their emotional challenges. Providing reassurance and acknowledging their concerns goes a long way in maintaining a positive work environment through difficult transitions. In conclusion, as we wrap up, let's reflect on the key takeaways from today's session. Leading change. Leading change is essentials. Leadership skills is an essential leadership skill in today's fast-paced, ever-changing business environment. Organizations that fail to adapt risk falling behind. Change is not optional, it's necessity for survival and success. But how do we thrive in this environment? The answer lies in creativity and innovation. These are the driving force behind long term success, organization, and continuously innovating are the ones that leaders lead their industry and not just keep up with them. How many of you believe leading change requires more than technical skills, empathy, communication, and active? Sorry, let me read that over. How many of you do believe that leading change requires more than just technical skills? It requires empathy, communication, and active participation are equally important in guiding teams through change. Can I see a show of hands? Thank you. It's clear that we all recognize the value of these qualities. Effective change management isn't just about issuing directiveness or pushing through processes. It's about understanding and supporting the people who are affected by these changes. With empathy and clear communication creates an environment where everyone can contribute to the change process, ensuring it is both smooth and successful. To conclude, remember leading change involves both a strategic vision and the human touch. By fostering creativity, encouraging participation, and communication with empathy, you can guide your organization through change and set it up for success in a competitive market. Any questions? Okay, so since there are no questions, thank you everyone for listening to our presentation today.